Sure.
All right, so as promised, we are back on Carrington, but we're not in the kitchen today. We are in the backyard, checking on the bees. So, John, you want to pan down, or we can move closer with that too. No?
Yeah, I'm gonna put my gloves on.
So, I'm gonna check out these hives. We were in here a couple weeks ago, and I kept a notebook of what we did. This first hive from last winter, I don't even know if I'm on shot. Am I even on the camera?
There you are.
Okay. This first hive from last winter died. It didn't winter over. We had a very warm February, and they were all alive going into January. But what happens when it gets too warm in the winter, instead of staying in a cluster in a hive, the bees break and they go out for like flights. And then they try to find food, but there's nothing out there yet. So when it's too warm, they leave the hive and they go out in search of food. So this one most likely starved to death. So what happened was I took some frames from number 3, which you could see how busy that hive is. That's a hive that wintered over. And then we split it in half. So we split it between these two. More than likely, some of these bees that we split off just went back to the mother hive, but we're going to kind of check and see what's going on in there. And more than likely, this hive, this third one and my fourth one, the next nice day they're going to swarm. They're probably already talking about it right now and figuring out how that's going to happen. But I'm going to try and trick them and keep them from doing it. And I might be stealing a few more frames of brood out of that one to throw in here. We've been keeping bees for 12 years. I'm not a professional. I'm still an amateur after 12 years. I just do what I do, and I try to fight, you know, everybody that's got the perfectly green lawn. You want to take a look at our lawn? It's all clover. We don't use pesticides on our lawn.
We got chickens too.
But every neighbor does. So we're fighting against that because my bees don't just stay in our yard. They fly all over everybody's yard and flower garden. So this is going to be a little bit weird. I've never managed my bees on camera before. We might have to stop and then come back. So if you lose us, don't go away. We'll probably come back until we get through all 4 of them and see what there is to see in each one. But so the first thing you want to do is let them know you're coming by smoking them. And the thing about the smoke is it calms them down by making them fill up on honey and nectar, because they think, you know, think of where bees normally are. They're in the forest, so they think that it's going to be a forest fire. So they go and they start collecting honey. And when bees are full of honey, they're not as active and likely to sting you. Now this one we created by stealing some brood, and my hope was that they would make their own queen, having some nurse bees left on the old comb. But there's not a ton of bees in here, but there's more than I thought was going to be in here. So what I want to get to is the sweet spot in the middle to see if A, the brood has hatched, and B, if they've put any more, because that would also tell me that I accidentally transferred the queen over when I did it too. So this is, I don't think there's a queen in this hive. No, because there's no brood. They are bringing in pollen, which is a good sign. So they may have created their own queen cell. I'm not going to take this whole thing apart because we're on camera today. But I just want to show you a couple of these frames, because you're going to be able to make a comparison between these and the other one that we go to. See, so they don't have any honey. There's no brood. I don't see any eggs. That's weird to film that like that. So I may possibly be stealing a few more frames to throw in here from that one really active hive to trick them. So let's, what do I want to do? I'm going to leave this, because there's definitely no brood in here, right? Hold up the light, we can see that's not larva. Sometimes being a beekeeper, you have to make a decision based on what you see. So I'm just gonna leave this guy here and skip over to this crazy hive. This hive is absolutely insane, and it's gonna get a 3rd box. It may get some frames of brood stolen from it too, but okay. I'm letting them know that we're coming. They're probably not going to like it. Like I said, there's been a lot of activity in my yard, my neighbor's yard, over the last few days. And I don't know if that caught on yesterday's video, but they don't like a lot of movement on the ground. So logs being dropped and earth being moved. So
we had 2 neighbors taking trees down yesterday, and there was a lot of activity and a lot of disruption.
All right, there's a lot of bees in here, but See now, there's no brood up in here. The brood should be in the chamber down below. But let's just take
Explain
a
what
look.
the brood is too.
It's capped brood. It's the baby bees that they're taking care of that are capped. So that is not mother. That's not what I want. These guys are probably figuring out how they could get out of town and find a better place to live. So these guys are bringing in nectar in here, which is telling me that the brood is down in the lower chamber where we flipped the boxes the other day, and all of it that we saw up top here has hatched. So I don't want to mess around too much with these guys. I really just want to get that second box. I don't know if you could prop that up on the hive behind me some way. Oh, this is all honey. Okay, this is all honey in here, capped honey that they brought in. So I'm going to give them another box so they could bring honey into the third box and turn these into another brood chamber. But like I said, we might be too late. They might have already had the meeting to call for the swarm. So let's just put this guy back together and give them more room with the third box and come back and visit them in a couple more weeks. Or come back and visit them when they swarm. That may be what we have to do too. Here, let me give them a little smoke to make them go inside their home.
You got that?
So when you give them a little smoke, they go down inside the hive. Oh, that may have been the queen right there. All right, I'm putting this guy back together because they don't need us here. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. This
Come
is
forward
strong,
just a little bit.
This
That's
is
good.
a strong, active hive, and they do not need my help. Let's see that. Keep you guys.
You want to go on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go give it a little shot of smoke. Come on, go down inside. When you work with bees, you have to be slow and methodical and patient. Even though it seems like, I know a lot of people, my friends, are panicked when they see this. And if there's a professional beekeeper out there that sees something that I should be doing as far as a better tip, feel free to send me comments. You can never learn enough about bees. Let's see. So this one, half of this hive was half of that one when we started out a couple weeks ago. Oh, and I can already tell we're going to need a frame. This is a terrible frame. Sometimes you find stuff like that, that's garbage. So you always come out to the bee yard with a helper. That'll be my husband. And extra frames. So he's going to go grab me an extra frame. Yeah. I don't know how this video is coming out, guys. Sorry, we're doing our best. Hopefully you're seeing something interesting here. That's from the other frame. And there's some bees in here, but it's certainly not like the one next door. This may be a case of just leaving them alone. We might have to combine this one. We might have to combine this one with another one. Okay, that's something interesting in here.
What's that?
Ah, it's terrible. This is bad. You know what that is?
A mouse?
Yep. Skeleton of a mouse.
Just tell me what happened then.
I want to get it out of here first. Went on the ground. In the next frame, you'll be able to see it better. A mouse got in here over the winter and built a nest. Oh, yuck. Oh, that's just terrible. You're sticking your hand in to get that. I'm not getting that out of there. Alrighty, and then it was gone. Yuck. Yucko. So there's all kinds of
Need another frame?
predators competing to take over your hive. Yeah, several frames. I don't know what they're doing down below there. Also, a hive that doesn't have a queen, if it has enough worker bees, they will produce more honey because they don't have to spend time taking care of the brood. But this, I don't know. This is another one that was just gonna have to be experimental for now. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are all pretty bad.
There's one right
7.
there.
Do you have 3?
I don't know. I have the plastic frame one. Do you want that too? So you see this frame right here. That's the honey. And when you take the honey from the bees, this whole frame won't have any of these little open holes. It'll all look like that. And then what you do is you'll take a knife and you'll cut just the top wax off it on both sides. And then you put it in a spinner. We have a special spinner, and you spin it, and each frame has about, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds of honey on it times 10 frames. So each, if you get 10 frames, that's 50 pounds of honey. But trust me, if we sold the honey for what it costs us to keep the bees, it'd be about $500 a pound. So
there's no money in this. This is a hobby.
there's no money in this.
For love. This one's broken, so I don't want to use that one.
Okay. All right.
We can put this hive back together again too, because we're not going to.
All right. What are you gonna do?
Put this one on the end. And order some foundation.
Yeah.
Huh?
The other thing too is when you approach a beehive, if you're just like an amateur, I mean, you literally can, if you come from the side, you can get up this close. They won't even bother you. But it's when you come and you block their entrance like that with your full body, now they feel that that there's you're not a good person, and that's when you get stung. But normally, you can lean in within a foot or two of the. I'm about a foot away right now. I mean, of course I have a mask on, but even if I didn't have a mask, I wouldn't have any apprehension about standing this close to it, because I know that you stand to the side and it's safe. Now you can see this hive over here, and it's very hot out today. So they're with that little beard, it's called a beard. What they're doing is they're cooling the hive by flapping their wings. And that's all the bees on the outside are doing the same thing. They cool the hive by just staying on the outside. And of course, there's bees coming and going. But and here's the other hive. And they all have different size entrance reducers. And the entrance reducer, depending on how busy the hive is, like this one should probably have a bigger entrance. So more, because there's more bees. You want to protect. You want to protect them from predators. So if they don't have a lot of bees, then you have a very small hole. It's a very small hole to have to defend. Whereas, like this hive has less bees, so the entrance is a little smaller. By summertime, we'll have all the entrance reducers out, so the bees will be in full production and in full strength, so they don't need any protection of the hive. Another way to allow bees in is that little hole in the side. We drill holes in the side of the frame, and that allows them to enter and exit the hive. So now I go over here.
This hive is historically nasty. I don't know how into this one I want to get. I think I'm just going to give them the extra box to see if there's any brood up top, so I could just show it. But this hive was a feral hive that we caught, and it's not nice. Last fall it went after us.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to come after us again right now.
So I'm not going to get too crazy here. Like I said, I'm just gonna grab that box for them probably and just give it to them and leave them alone to do their thing. Okay, there's capped brood. That's not a lot. That's on an end, but that is the baby bee larvae is inside there, and then they come along and cap it.
And that shows you that there's a queen.
No, the next one.
There's a queen in the
laying
hive.
eggs, and hold on, this next one has a lot. For my viewing audience.
Yeah, we're just gonna show you this frame, and then we're gonna sign off because these bees are gonna get a little nasty, and nobody wants to see me screaming like a
This one has a lot of brood
child.
on it. You can see all in here.
Those are all.
These are all
babies.
drones down here. Drone brood. This hive is going to swarm. Guaranteed. We're too late, but whatever. This one's been a beast of a beast of a beast, so if it swarms and turns, half of it gets out of here, and half of it gets out of here. It's a nasty hive.
And while Heather puts that together, I'll show you our girls. Hey.
Yeah, you can bring that box right over here, though. Don't waste too much time.
Hey, what do you got to say? Oh, now you're all quiet. No one likes to be on the camera.
Oh, this hive is just nasty. Sometimes you get them like that. Historically nasty. Let's go. Whoosh. Yikes.
And these guys are all dust bathing. And there's our rooster. Let me hear it. What do you got to say? Yeah, get in there.
You get to the front of that, you can see, you might be able to see the pollen on the back of their legs.
Yeah, and now this entrance should probably be,
Especially on this purple part here, you could see in the back of those legs on that bee right there, and on this one climbing up here, they have pollen. So they've been out scavenging pollen, and they're bringing that in. They feed the pollen to the baby bees. It's really good when the yellow gets on the
yeah.
So they're trying to use this upper entrance because this one's really small, but I don't know about the weather. Here's one right here. This guy in his back legs. I don't know if you can see that. He's got a lot of pollen on him. So they come in, and it's someone else's job in here to scrape the pollen off them.
Do you want to open the entrance up? I know.
What? That's as wide as it goes.
No, I'll take it off.
No, I'm
All right.
afraid that
I'm gonna
might get cold.
I'm gonna sign off now. So.
It's gonna get cold and rain. All right, guys. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed our trip out to the apiary. Until next time. Well, until we bee again.